Morning everyone. Quick video about making money. I was talking to a photographer the other day and he said to me, and he's got some fantastic pictures of ladies, of girls, and he said to me, you will never make any money photographing women. And it took me back a little bit, a bit of a surprise, a bit of a shock, a bit of a punch in the jaw. And I went home and I thought about it and I thought, well, is it true? Because I seem to do okay. Firstly, every single magazine that you pick up has got pictures of women or girls, whether it's the Curry's leaflet for buying a new TV, Avon, a magazine, everything that you pick up literature-wise has got pictures of ladies or men. So they are absolutely everywhere. So straight away, boom, that shoots that out of the water. Secondly, what I was thinking about was what sort of pictures does he mean? Now, if it's underwear and sexy pictures of girls, then lots of models and girls that I know really well make lots of money selling pictures of themselves. So that blows that out of the water, really. But as a photographer, it is more difficult to sell what we used to call glamour pictures. So I make money really simply in three very, very simple ways. Firstly, I photograph men and women for hairdressing salons, for award pictures, for their PR, for their socials, for their awards. Absolutely, hairdressing salons and barbershops consume photographs at an enormous rate, and quite a lot of them are very good at photographing them for themselves. But for that little extra thing, like to get into magazines like Hairdresser's Journal, Barber Evo, The Modern Barber, Estetica, they need people like us to photograph with better cameras than they have got, probably, and to use our skills. So the first way to make money for us is to contact all of your local hairdressing salons, all of your local barbershops, and as many product manufacturers as you can find to get in touch with them and see if there's some work there for you. Another quick way that we make money is that we quite often, at least once a month, book a test in the studio. It hones our skills. It gives us an opportunity to try something new. And then we pay the model and we sell the pictures through Alamy and iStock and Shutterstock. And it used to be 500px, which we were banned off there for some strange reason, but I wouldn't recommend you to using 500px at all. So that's how I make my money. We shoot for hair salons, hair manufacturers, barbershops, and that type of thing. We also shoot a smaller amount, but bigger income for lingerie brands and gymwear brands. So if you see some lingerie on our shoot, it's probably been shot for a lingerie brand, for underwear. So they are also well worth. You probably find in the UK, if you did a search of underwear manufacturers, there are probably ones near you, so it's well worth contacting them. We also shoot men and women for motorcycle clothing, ordinary clothing wear. So take a look at those. So get into as much as you can, looking at making contacts through hair salons, barbershops, makeup brands, hair brands, and manufacturers and clothing. The second thing I want to speak to you about is equipment. One of the things I get said to me quite a lot is that I can't produce pictures because I haven't got a camera like yours. And this is completely and totally untrue. Yes, I will agree there's a certain level of camera that you need to get, but I could go today and buy a Canon 5D Mark 1 for about £350 from a used dealer, and that would be adequate. Until recently, I was using a Canon 1300D as a backup camera. I bought that to shoot video on, and it wasn't very good at shooting video, so I then started to use it as a backup camera to shoot behind the scenes. On my computer, sometimes I have to look at the information in an image to find out whether I'd shot it with a 1300D or a Canon 5D Mark III. So you can acquire a very simple camera and start to create some good work. One of the things is, whichever camera you've got, as long as it's got some way of triggering a flashlight, then it's a great camera to start with. Shutterstock now will accept pictures from an iPhone. When I first started selling pictures through Alamy, we had to shoot with a minimum file size of 50 megabyte, which was quite difficult to do it in those days. What I would recommend to you is, if you can't afford a camera of £350, use whichever camera you've got. If you've got some spare money, please don't get into debt for photography, because it's the wrong thing to do. Then at the minimum, start off with something the equivalent of a Canon 5D Mark I, or the equivalent Nikon or Sony or Fuji, and start with that. Lighting wise, you only really need one light, even though in my studio at the moment we've got 13. I can tell you honestly, totally truthfully, 10 of those lights never get used. We always use 3 lights. 2 of those lights that we use are only, I'll tell you what they actually are. They are Godox SK 400 Mark III. The Optum, I like to shoot it around f11, f16. If you're doing headshots like I do, the light is probably about 2 feet, 2.5 feet away from the model. So from that point of view, you've probably only got that light turned up to half power. A Godox SK 400 or something equivalent like the 300, you can probably get those for about £153. So please don't think that what we shoot is out of your reach. Cheap camera, cheap lighting, but just learn how to light the shot properly. The third thing I'd like to talk to you about, is it the third or is it the fourth, is the quality. Once you've got your lighting right, the most important thing to me is the content. And what I mean by that is the model of the highest quality that you can get. Now, I would highly recommend not doing time for prints or collaborations. I would highly recommend, if you can and you've got spare money, to book a model that's going to cost you some money. If it's not going to cost you some money, that you can get someone that's willing to pay you to pay for a model. We're quite lucky. We've got an agent that pays for gives us a monthly fee to spend on models, and they do that because they can sell the pictures into the market for magazines, websites, things like that. So how we test is, we'll do a test shoot, we'll get a model release form signed, and our agent will sell those pictures onwards to websites, web magazines, all sorts of different publishers, to advertise all sorts of different things. So If you haven't got someone to pay for your models, then unfortunately you're probably going to have to pay for it yourself. But I would highly recommend using the absolute best models that you can afford. The top models that we like to book, that we like to work with, start at around £120 for 2 hours work. And for that, you're getting a professional model with a fantastic face. Though some models can go up to, for commercial work, can go up to as high as you want to pay, thousands of pounds. If you can't afford models, a great way is to get in touch with your local model agency and ask them if you could do tests for them for their new faces. The problem with this is that you'll be able to use them on your portfolio, and you'll be able to use them on your website, and they will use them on their website and their portfolio. But you can't sell the pictures. They are literally portfolio use only. The great thing about photographing for an agency is that they will tell you whether you are on the right track or not. If your pictures are not what people are looking for, and a model agency won't use them, and if the model agency doesn't use them, you are completely off track, completely. So it's well worth beginning to start a little relationship with your local model agencies. They're always looking for photographers for new faces, so it's well worth getting in touch with them. And finally, what I'd like to talk to you about, and it's a really tricky subject, is charging the right fee. A decent photographer, a professional photographer, has what we call a day rate. That is what we charge the client per day. My day rate starts from £1,400 to £2,000 per day. For that, we'll start at about 9 o'clock and we try to finish at about 4 to 5 o'clock. Not all clients can afford that, but the way you decide who can afford that is in an initial conversation. The client will ring you and they'll say, "Hi there, Paul, we're thinking of doing a photo shoot. We've got 3 models and we'd like to use the pictures for a hair magazine." And enthusiastically, I'll say, "That's fantastic. What's your budget?" If they say our budget for the whole shoot is £500, then we'll say that, unfortunately, you're probably not speaking to the right photographer. If they say their budget for the day, for the photo shoot, is £3,500, then you've got somewhere to go with that, even though that budget, even though it sounds a lot of money, is very, very tight. So the way our costs would be engaged would be, for a normal hair shoot, for example, for the British Hairdressing Awards, we would charge £2,000 per day. On top of that, we would go on to the Association of Photographers and we would use the calculator on there to calculate usage rates. That would give the hairdressing salon usage for 12 months of those pictures. So that would probably turn up, just using them for UK only, would probably go up to around £8,000 with the usage rights added on. Then what we normally do is we normally help them to find some models through our contacts in agencies, and models for the British Hairdressing Awards are normally around £500 per model. If you've got 4 models, which you could shoot 2 looks on, you've got an extra £2,000, possibly plus travel. So we're up to around the £10,500, £11,000 mark. And of course, if you are registered with VAT, that has to be added on as well. So the average British Hairdressing Award pictures can usually work out to around £10,000 to £11,000. There is ways of reducing that fee by choosing if you've got really good contacts with model agents and models, if you can shoot with models directly, you can reduce the rates there. If you've got a really good relationship with a photographer, we can sometimes completely scrap the usage rates and let you use the pictures without that. That's all negotiable between you and the photographer, the models and the model agency. But what I would highly recommend is that every single thing that you do and you talk about, you put it into writing by email, quotation, everything, so that everyone knows where they stand. Also be prepared to spend a little bit of time before the shoot on preparation to get things in that you might need. A few Zoom calls, lots of emails, and maybe even some one-to-one face-to-face contact. I really hope that the information I've given here has been helpful. If you've got any questions, either pop them below and I'll try my best to answer them, or maybe follow us on Instagram and send us some questions on there. We would love to help people to be successful. So thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please, and hope to see you soon.